Today, I will be recapping part 2 of the anime, Scryed Alteration. 8 months has passed since Kazuma and Ryuho's epic clash which opened the door to the other dimension. Mujo and his servant Ino recap the state of things since the incident. The battle between the two sparked an uprising on the lost ground. The higher powers at the mainland have sent Mujo to exploit the energy in the other dimension for monetary gains, but he has other plans to harness the power for himself. It also revealed that both Kazuma and Ryuho have not been seen during this period, but the mainland representative is sure that they are still alive. His hunch is right as later on, Ryuho appears unconscious at the front gate of a lost ground settlement. The residents gather around but are unsure of bringing a stranger into the community. Konami pushes her way through the crowd and recognizes Ryuho, so they let him in. He lives peacefully with the residents as he's lost his memory of his past as a member of Holy. His old comrades find his location and devise a plan to persuade him back into their ranks by using Unkei's ability that manipulates memories. But he breaks free from his power which restores his memory. With his new experience living with the lost ground residents, coupled with seeing how Holy truly operate, he officially denounces his affiliation with them. His loyal partner Sheris decides to join him. Meanwhile, Kigetsuki abandons his commands when he realizes that the mission is a failure. Unkei continues to attack but he's ultimately defeated. With the battle decided, Urizen also retreats accepting Ryuho and Sheris's decision, but he promises to report every last detail of what happened to HQ. Elsewhere on the lost ground, Kazuma wakes up after a flashback of his interaction with Cougar in the other side. His old ally turned holy veteran explains that he left a fragment of himself in the other dimension, suspecting that he would eventually reach the level to make the journey. He warns him that he'll be swallowed up, lose all his memories, and vanish if he stays there too long, as the place is not suitable for humans. So he gives him a helping kick back to the normal world. Kazuma snapped out of his drunken stupor when is confronted by Ayase, who has now joined Holy. She attacks him and has the advantage with her water-based ability as they are near the coast. She sends him in the ocean, which forces him to find an underwater cavern. Ayase follows him there where Holy can't hear nor see them. So he finally reveals that she's still an ally but was forced to undergo alteration experimentation, which has left some nasty side effects. Holy are blackmailing her using her sick younger brother. They will withhold treatment if she doesn't obey orders. It's also revealed that his best friend Kimishima died during his 8 months disappearance. In order not to arouse suspicion, they come back out fighting, but as they battle, Ayase finds out through a gauntlet monitoring her brother's condition that he's passed away. It all becomes too much for her, so gives up on life and succumbs to the side effects of the excessive alterations. Mujo, who has been secretly watching the events from his luxury whip, makes his presence known and Kazuma notices. He immediately attacks the elite, but Mujo wants all that smoke and blocks it very easily, proving that he's no sheltered flower because of his posh boy background. He formally introduces himself to Kazuma, confessing to being the mastermind behind Ayase's unfortunate demise. Mujo continues to bait Kazuma so that they can open a door to the other side, but it doesn't work, so he retreats. The elite receives word from Ino that Momori's location has been found. He orders them to capture her since she's from the powerful Kiryu family. This will give him leverage against them. Ino and his unit ambush Momori, but her traveling companion Tachibana steps up to protect her from her kidnappers. His eternal 8 balls get easily sliced like a hot knife through butter by Ino's altar. Just before the final blow is about to land, Ryuho appears out of nowhere and deflects it. The butler decides to retreat for now, as delivering the information of Ryuho's re-emergence to his boss takes priority. Meanwhile, Kazuma is friendlily ambushed by Cougar as he ponders on his new foe Mujo. His old partner informs him that Konami is still alive and living with Ryuho. Later that night, Kigetsuki leads an assault on the settlement in Ryuho's absence. Sheris tries her best to fend them off, but she gets exhausted when she uses her powers on Kigetsuki's altar called the Tokonatsu Sisters. Before they can give her more Will Smith-level slaps in her weakened state, Ryuho makes his return with a surprise attack which sends the holy agents back. Tachibana and Momori soon join him while Kigetsuki reveals that his men rounded up the residents. He's now holding them hostage. He requests Momori to come back with them, to which she complies. Next, Ryuho is to pledge loyalty back to the mainland, but he refuses, so takes a beating. He's unable to resist due to the hostage situation. Kigetsuki still orders a brainwashed Biff to execute their prisoner. Konami and the other ladies plead, but it falls on deaf ears. Kazuma has his cliché hero's entrance, launching off Cougar's car and defeats Biff with one shot, but the big boy had flashbacks to their last encounter. Everyone is surprised to see Kazuma after so long. Him and Ryuho have some choice words, as the last time they interacted they were trying to kill one another. Not wanting to be outdone by his rival, they join forces to begin pushing back the whole troops. With his back to the wall, Kigetsuki orders the Tokonatsu sisters to merge, revealing his altar's true form, Burning Summer. Initially, no one is able to approach it because it radiates immense heat, even causing the ground around it to turn to molten lava. But Ryuho and Kazuma release their powers, which allows them to withstand the heat wave. Kijisuke still tries to use the hostages as a bargaining chip, but Kazuma is not interested and still prepares to attack. He charges up a shell bullet burst and connects with it, defeating Kijisuke. Guess the summer was not so hot after all. Konami rushes over to Kazuma, who lays on the floor exhausted. She notices that his trip to the other dimension affected his eye and right arm, but he assures her that's no big deal. They have a warm reunion after so long apart. Ryuho changes back into his holy uniform but removes the badges. Meanwhile, at the Holy HQ, Mujo tries to use Ino and Captain Zigmaral's powers to open a door to the other side, but it proves to be fruitless. The captain informs him that they need Elion's powers of absolute perception to aid them, but he escaped. So Mujo brings out 2 clones of him on some "here's one I prepared earlier" behavior. It is revealed that Elion was created from Zigmaral's genes through experimentation, so they have plenty in stock. The captain finally realizes that Mujo has a much more sinister agenda. He blatantly admits that he plans to use the power to reform the whole world. Back at the Lost Grounds, Kazuma and Ryuho take themselves to the side to discuss what to do next, but they quickly get into an argument when Ryuho suggests that Kazuma take Konami and run for the hills while he deals with Holy, but Kazuma is having none of it. They are interrupted when a brainwashed Biff makes another appearance, but this time he takes his first W by successfully kidnapping Konami. He fires a rocket that doubles up as a communication device as he leaves. Everyone gathers round it. Mujo starts yapping, revealing that he used the Holy Eye satellite to pinpoint their location. He broadcasts from Ryuho's family house showing his dead father. He plans to confiscate his family's estate but promises to leave it if he pledges loyalty to the mainland. Before he cuts the broadcast, he alerts them that he'll be waiting at the central pillar in the heart of town. He also leaves them with a parting gift as he uses Konami's powers to fire some lasers from the satellite. Ryuho and Kazuma activate their powers in order to block the attack, but the force produced sends them to space where they team up to destroy the satellite. In the process, they open another door that Mujo uses to access the other side. He basks inside like a kid in a candy store. He's soon confronted by the alter embodiment, which he absorbs. High on the power, he claims to be the strongest in the world and makes his way back to the planet ready to begin the alteration of the human world. He starts by dismantling a large amount of materials in the city and reassembles it around the central pillar to create a menacing fortress. The residents can only watch on, horrified. Inside the new architecture, Mujo connects with Konami's telepathic empathy in order to increase his perspective powers. Outside, Ryuho and Kazuma drop down from space, landing right at Mujo's front door. The two casually walk inside without any initial opposition, but they are soon met with resistance. Kazuma defeats brainwashed Biff for the third and hopefully last time. This guy is like a cockroach. Meanwhile, Ryuho takes out some fodder guys on his side. With all of this happening, Cougar, Sheris, and Momori also infiltrate the fortress. Sheris splits from them early on, but the other two are met by Mujo himself. Cougar stalls Mujo, allowing Momori to go ahead. He transforms into his full alter form and attacks the elitist with his full speed, but he easily dodges and puts an end to things with his ability that allows him to absorb and transmute other people's alter powers. He also reveals that he was using Konami's ability to read his mind, helping him evade his attacks. He lands the knockout blow with White Trick and Black Joker abilities he gained from absorbing the alter embodiment. Meanwhile, Ryuho comes across a fatally wounded Zigmaral. The commander informs him that Mujo has acquired the alter embodiment, the entity that was responsible for his mother's death 7 years earlier. It was summoned when he opened the door to the other side. He apologizes and tells him that the embodiment is on the 7th sector before he passes away. Ryuho quickly rushes there, where he confronts the culprit of his childhood trauma. Sheris stumbles on the fight just as the alter embodiment lands a fatal blow before disappearing. Out of love for Ryuho, she sacrifices herself by using her powers to revive him. He later regains consciousness only to see her clothes and pin on the floor, with no sign of her around. He immediately understands the situation and falls to the ground, but he finds it difficult to truly express his emotions. Kazuma catches up after defeating Ino and aggressively encourages him to let his feelings out. After he has a good cry, they both confront Mujo in the control room. Kazuma engages the elitist while Ryuho goes round 2 with the alter embodiment that Mujo summoned. At first, the battle plays out the same with the ex-Holy Golden Boy on the floor, but he thinks about Sheris's sacrifice and uses her hair clip as a catalyst to merge with his alter to evolve his powers. With his new abilities, he overwhelms the alter embodiment, landing a decisive strike which gets it back to the other side. His revenge is complete. Cougar later recovers from his L and evacuates Konami, allowing the other two to fight. Kazuma evolves when he's pushed to his limits by Mujo. He fully materializes his powers and lands a devastating combo that sends the elitist packing to the other side. As Ryuho and Kazuma update each other on their situation, Mujo emerges from the other side again looking hideous. He claims to have finally acquired true power. He showcases it a little when he shoots black laser beams that jet out, destroying the buildings. Kazuma transforms again, evading his attacks, and lands a powerful punch that causes Mujo to disintegrate along with all his summons. Some time has passed since Mujo's defeat, but the mainland still has their eyes set on the lost ground. They send their army to reclaim the land but are met by Kazuma and Ryuho. Using their advanced alter powers, the duo makes quick work of the invading forces. Left with no other option, the higher-ups at the mainland decide to withdraw, but they reveal that alter uses have also started to appear in Osaka as a byproduct of all the commotion. After their victory, Kazuma and Ryuho decide to finally settle their score to see who's stronger. As their fight progresses, they transform into their various states, but a clear winner is not apparent. Both Momori and Konami worriedly witness the epic battle. The two exhaust their powers but still continue with a good old brawl. This comes to an end when they both simultaneously collapse from fatigue. Years later, the heroes have formed their own organization that deals with criminal alter groups. They receive a call regarding some criminals at Osaka. An older Kazuma and Ryuho infiltrate the building but are surrounded. They summon their alter powers prepared to fight. That brings the series to an end.